Hello, this is Becky Sapper, the Program Manager for the Wisconsin Master Naturalist Program. Thank you for your interest in being a Master Naturalist and providing volunteer service to organizations across the state to do good for our natural world. Your efforts are very much appreciated. This short video is to illustrate how to report volunteer hours and advanced training hours to the Master Naturalist Program through our online portal. As a Master Naturalist, you'll need to volunteer 40 hours and receive 8 hours of advanced training per calendar year. In addition, in order to maintain your certification, you'll also need to report your hours to the program. Hours reported will apply to the current year and will not roll over to the next year. The only exception is for the first year immediately after taking the volunteer training. During this time, you'll have the remainder of that year plus the next 12 months to complete your hour requirements. You will receive a PIN for the year you complete and record these requirements. After that, all certifications happen on a January through December calendar year schedule. So let's show you how easy it is to do this. The first thing you need to do is to log into the portal through our website at wimasternaturalist.org, or through a quick Google search you can find the website. The login button can be found at the bottom of the page, here, and also on the menu button at the bottom. If you've just completed a Master Naturalist training, you'll need to create a new account before logging in as a Master Naturalist. In order to do that, you just click this button and follow the quick, easy steps. After that, you log in as a Master Naturalist with the email address that you provided when you created that new account and the password that you created with that new account. To make login easier, feel free to click the Remember button for your email address and the Stay Signed In on this device for 30 days button. But please do this only on your own personal devices. You can use computers, tablets, or phones to log into this portal. So this is the home page. So let's try and record a few volunteer hours. The first one I'm going to do is some work that I did on a boardwalk for the Ice Age Trail. So I'll want to create a new record and search for the organization which I volunteered. So this, in this case, would be the Ice Age Trail Alliance. We have a number of organizations already populated on our portal. Please first check this list for your organization before you would add a new organization. You can do that through scrolling through the list, or you can search for it by name or city. So we'll start to type Ice Age Trail, and you'll see that it automatically populates to that. So we'll check Ice Age Trail Alliance, General Volunteer Service. So this is just the broad categories of the type of work that you are doing as a volunteer. And I was doing trail work on a boardwalk, so I'm going to come down and find trail work. Now is the time that you can add more detail in this description box. So I was working on a boardwalk near Long Lake in Polk County. Replaced damaged boards. And then you choose the day that was. For me, this happened on February 15th. I did have some prep hours because I brought in the boards and tools I needed, so I'm going to say I had 1 hour of prep time. It took me 2 hours to hike in, replace the boards, and hike back out. My travel time to this location to do the volunteer work was 30 minutes. Here's a key thing. Make sure you change the hours to minutes, because we don't want to have it mistakenly say you traveled 30 hours instead of 30 minutes. This is also a round trip time. And then the miles I traveled, we'll say 20 miles. The contact person who I was working with on the Ice Age Trail was Hank Grinnell. So whoever your contact person is for your organization. Did your hours take place in Wisconsin? Yes. As I mentioned before, this happened in Polk County. I'm going to select Polk County. And then you'll see it says it's ready to submit. Submit volunteer records. Ta-da! It was successfully submitted. So let's try another one. I want to record some hours I did doing some educational programming. You'll notice that it now auto-populates with organizations that you've already entered once. This is going to be for a different organization though, so I'm going to click New Volunteer Record and add that organization. This is going to be Retzer Nature Center. General Volunteer Service, like I said, I was doing an educational program. So I'm going to select Education/Interpretation Program. And for the description, I am going to say I gave an educational program to 4th graders regarding prairie habitat and the critters that live there. So that program happened on March 2nd. I did prep for this because I needed to know what I was talking about, so I did some research, and so I put 2 hours of prep time in. The actual education program was only 1 hour. I live really close to Retzer, so it's only 5 minutes of travel time to travel that 1.5 miles. Audience reach. So were people reached through your volunteer service? This means were you actually providing education interpretation to people? And this will be yes. It was youth, those 4th graders, and there were 25 of them in this class. My organizational contact person for this was Janet Barthel. And yes, it was in Wisconsin in Waukesha County. And submit. You'll notice that as you accrue hours, they'll show up on this volunteer records page, and your service hours, your volunteer service hours, and your prep time and your travel time will equal out to a total volunteer time. So you do get to include prep and travel in your volunteer service time for your 40 hours. Let's add one more. Let's do a citizen science record with a new organization. Let's say we're doing trail camera monitoring for Snapshot, Wisconsin. Like I said, Snapshot, Wisconsin's all about monitoring wildlife, so we'll scroll down for wildlife monitoring. And more details is that I did a camera check for trail cam 3548 and uploaded photos. You can make this as long or as short as you'd like, just so that we have an accurate reflection of your volunteer service. Feel free to write paragraphs here, feel free to put bulleted items, any way you would like to express to us the work that you did as a volunteer. Alright, I'm going to put that I did this camera check on March 1st. I had no prep hours. I had 30 minutes of volunteer time. I had no travel and no miles because this trail camera is hypothetically in the back 40 of my home. Now, organization contact person. For Snapshot Wisconsin, they often work with a team of individuals, and I don't have one person specifically that I work with, so I'm going to put Snapshot Wisconsin program staff here. And that's perfectly okay to do. Did your volunteer hours take place in Wisconsin? Yes, they did. Wisconsin, we'll say Burnett County. Now, there are times that people may volunteer in areas outside of Wisconsin, but that can only occur if you're volunteering in a neighboring state. So that's Minnesota, Michigan, Iowa, and Illinois. Otherwise, any volunteer work that's happening in Arizona or Florida or Texas, that does not count for Wisconsin Master Naturalist. All right, we're going to submit our volunteer record here. There we go. So you'll notice there's also these copy buttons. These come in really handy for when you're doing regular ongoing activities. Let's say, for instance, that the trail camera check that I just did with Snapshot Wisconsin. Say I check that camera once a month on the first of every month. So you can just copy that record, and everything here stays the same except for the date. So it's still Snapshot Wisconsin Wildlife Monitoring. The camera's the same, uploaded photos. I do need to put in a new date here, so I want to record that I also did this February 1st because I do it on the 1st of every month. It took me the same amount of time, and again, everything just stays the same, and you can just hit submit. So that makes it very quick and easy to do those type of activities that happen on an ongoing basis. All right, let's try an advanced training record now. It's very similar in that you add an advanced training record. You'll notice again that your organizations that you've already populated will show up here, so you can click straight to there, or you can do a new advanced training record and identify a new organization. So for this, let's say I did a workshop at UW Arboretum, and because this is an advanced training because the workshop I did I was learning from, not giving. So that's the difference in advanced training and volunteer service. Advanced training, you're learning information. When you volunteer, you're giving information out. So this workshop that I learned at was called Winter Tree ID. And we were learning how to identify trees based on leaf scars and buds. That training day happened in January on the 16th. I had no prep hours. It was a 4-hour training. I traveled 30 miles round trip. Miles on advanced training, we track just to see how far you traveled, but you do not get to claim hours for travel for advanced training. That's only on volunteer service. So the next thing I need to select is the categories that were covered during this advanced training. So we're talking about trees and twigs and shrubs, so we'll say plants. We're also talking about the wildlife that nibble on these trees during the winter time and eat the buds, so we'll say wildlife. And we also talked at this workshop of how you'd use this information in an interpretive program. So I'm going to check education interpretation as well. The contact person at the Arboretum was Gail Epping Overholt. And it did take place in Wisconsin again. And the Arboretum is in Dane County. There we go. Very similar to how you would do a volunteer record. And again, you'll see everything populated on the spreadsheet. Another thing I'd like to point out on the home page here of the portal is this resource center. This is a good area that if you're trying to find opportunities to volunteer or learning opportunities, you can click on this here. There's both advanced training opportunities and volunteer opportunities listed, and they're great resources for our partners that help us to populate these for needs that they have for volunteers and workshops and offerings that they have that count as advanced training hours. So make sure you use that as a resource when looking for opportunities. There's also a great reading list on the portal as well. Another thing I'd like to point out is this edit your profile. So if you ever have an opportunity that you need to change your email address or any of your contact information, please do so. Please keep your profile up to date, and that way we can send you your recognition pins to the correct home address. Okay. If you have any questions while you're using the portal, please contact us either at info@wimasternaturalist.org or 608-262-0020, and we'd be very happy to help you. Thank you again for your interest in the Master Naturalist program and for volunteering. Have a great day.